thank you for joining us and accepting our invitation to be a woman in play.
Thank you. My pleasure.
We followed your career a long time and really admire a lot of the work that you do. So tell me, a little bit about your background first. Where are you from and how'd you get to North Texas?
Okay, so I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was raised in Houston, Texas, in and around the Houston area, and I've been in Dallas now for 50 years. And I transferred up here with the Small Business Administration, and I went to work for a technology company for 21 years, and I've had my own business now for 25 years. I'm married. I have one child and a wonderful daughter-in-law, and 3 great-grandchildren. 3 wonderful grandchildren. Not great-grandchildren. I don't want to age myself more, but
right.
yes,
not yet, right?
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about your business. How did you come up with the idea? How long have you been in business?
Yeah, so I've been in business for almost 25 years. And as I said, I grew up, if you will, when I think about my professional career, in a technology company. I started as a secretary. I ended up as a corporate officer of a Fortune 50 company. So I got to climb the rungs of the ladder, and I worked around the world. And so with that experience, I'll say I was often the first or one of the only women in the room. At 72 years of age, I've never worked for a woman because there weren't that many women who were in place in leadership roles. So when I left corporate America, I knew that I wanted to do work to help women not have to go through, in its simplest form, not have to go through what I went through. And so I looked at leadership and I said, how can I help women get clear about what they want from a career as it relates to leadership, with the belief that leadership is not a box on an org chart or that kind of thing, but it's truly a state of mind. I can be a leader no matter what position I have. And so I set about to create a women's leadership program, and with the goal of helping women get clear about what success looked like for them, rather than trying to play a role that someone else thought they should play, and to do that in an authentic way.
I tend to believe myself that I'd rather have influence over authority, right?
Okay.
And I think a lot of women in particular may feel that, or people in leadership may feel that sense of needing to be an authoritative figure. But what you said there was more of being a leader in the sense of being influential. You want people to respect you.
Well, I think about power in 3 ways. There's positional power, which says hierarchical power, right? I am a box on an org chart or some job title on a business card. And what I often teach is that positional power is given to you and therefore it can be taken away. Relational power is you and I doing something together that neither of us could do on our own. And personal power is mine. It's mine to share, it's mine to hold on to, it's mine to give away. And using my personal power, yes, it's about influence, it's also about clarity, it's also about courage, it's also about intentionality. So this idea of who am I first, and then what do I want to be in the world, and how do I want to show up? To me, that's all around the leadership stuff.
And I know you've been married for quite a while. So tell us, coming up and climbing the ladder and being a leader and one of the pioneering women, what it was like also, and how it may have affected your family.
Well, so I'll tell you, I was married for 31 years. I was widowed for 18 years, and I've only recently remarried. So, there's a lot in that. Right. So my son would tell you that I was probably a better mother because I traveled and worked, because otherwise when I'm in, I'm all in, and I would have been all in his business.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, I'm going to say I led him as much as I mothered him, because it's just who I was in playing to my strengths, living my values, and trying to do the best that I could. He does not feel that he suffered, because I had a very supportive and loving and participative husband. And we were kind of interchangeable parents, I would say. So he wasn't afraid to wash the dishes or, do any of the domestic chores that are often stereotyped for women. And so we were a real partnership and a team. And I see that even in my son today, that he is modeling some of those same things in the way he chooses to be a husband and a father.
Well, they say more is caught than what is taught.
Yes.
So he saw that's example.
Right. That's right. And he's been very intentional and deliberate about that.
What do you think today may be the most challenging item that women face in leadership?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to, we've come a long way from the 60s and 70s when the women's movement, and I was, there and doing my thing then too. But we are still, people are trying to put us in a box and define us. If and it's based on stereotypes and biases. Just at its most fundamental core, women are supposed to act this way, do these things, a good mom, a good woman, a good girl, all of those kinds of things. So I think one of the biggest challenges is not allowing other people to define us, that we get to do that for ourselves, and that we're going to live that truth. I think living in alignment with my values is critically important in helping women then get clear about those boundaries. I love quotes and sayings, and one of my favorite is, principles are only principles when they're practiced when it's inconvenient. And so it's hard. I also think that a big challenge is, and this makes me sad, I want to say that to begin with, that women are often seen as competition and treated accordingly by, and I'm going to say, insecure men. And the part that makes me sad is, and insecure women. I still hear from my coaching clients and things, I work for a woman and she said, well, I didn't have that available to me, and so I'm not going to make it available to you. And I just want to go, what are you thinking? We have an opportunity to do something different and to do it better, and, that sort of thing.
So my last question for you is, what advice would you give to a woman who wants to be a pioneer in an industry where women may be underrepresented?
Yeah. So it's not for the faint of heart. You got to be ready to break some glass. You got to be ready to stand when it's hard to stand in it. You have to be ready for all the criticism and judgments that are going to come, fairly or unfairly, rightly or unrightly, in that regard. And I'm going to go back to something I said earlier, which is never let anyone else define you. I mean, you've got to be able to get clear about who you are and how you want to show up in the world. And I would also say be an agile and lifelong learner. And the clarity of your values and who you are can help you navigate in those spaces. And one of the other things is don't lose yourself in the process, because I can do a lot to conform to someone else's rules, policies, expectations, quote unquote, in order to get ahead. And I'm just not willing to compromise that. Supporting other women is really important. We as women often struggle with advocating on behalf of ourselves. And that's why it's ever more important to be able to advocate for each other. I can be your advocate, you can be my advocate. We get to play to our strengths in that area, because women tend to deflect praise. We minimize our role in whatever may have, oh, it was nothing, I had a great team, all those kinds of things, versus, something like, I am proud of the leadership I provided and I had a great team to work with. When you get a seat at the table, that decision table, right? Scoot over and pull up a chair for another woman. And I think that is a part of our responsibility as well.
Well, I wholeheartedly agree. And you have a lot to share, probably more than we have time for in a short video, but anything else that you might want to add that you think might be helpful?
Well, I love what y'all are doing, and I appreciate the recognition that you're providing. And I think having opportunities for women to contribute whether it be time, whether it be the write me a check, sponsor, bring us into your organization, whatever that might be. Y'all are doing good work in that area, and I salute your efforts, and I want to share that with as many people as I possibly can. And so again, I thank you.
Thank you. Well, we look forward to a long-lasting relationship. Thank you so much for joining us and being here.
You bet. My pleasure.